Hello everybody and welcome to Selenium for Beginners. In this video, I will cover number 5 switch methods for Selenium. The transcript, presentation, and code will be available on GitHub at Rex Jones II, Selenium for Beginners, and tinyurl.com switch methods. Switch methods are the last group of Selenium method categories. We already covered browser methods, web elements methods, navigation methods, and wait methods. These switch methods are a group of methods that switch to alerts, windows, and frames. Selenium will not allow us to directly interact with a web element inside an alert, window, or frame unless we execute a switch statement. We are going to discuss the type of elements that require switching, Selenium methods used for switching, then demo the Selenium switch methods. Let's start with the type of elements that require switching. First, we have frames, then alerts, and the last is windows. A frame is a tag within a frame set tag. The frame defines one window within a frame set. Let me show you by using W3 Schools. Do you see the 3 frame tags that's located inside the frame set tag? When I click try it for yourself, we see 3 frames on the right side. Frame A, frame B, and frame C. On the left side, we see the same 3 frame tags within a frame set tag. Watch what happens when I change the value for SRC within a frame tag. I am going to change frame B to W3 Schools, then click Run. A w3schools.com window shows up within frame B after entering the URL. Also, look what happens after clicking the frame. An option named View Frame Source shows up. Frame A and frame C shows the same option, View Frame Source. However, we do not see View Frame Source when right-clicking outside of frames A, B, and C. Our demo will focus on iframe, which is very similar to what we saw with frames. Iframe is short for inline frame, which is used to embed documents within a document. Try it yourself. The iframe tag uses an SRC attribute just like the frame tag. Iframe also has an option named View Frame Source when I right-click. However, there is a difference between frame and iframe. An iframe is not located within a frame set tag, and the window for an iframe cannot be resized. When I hover over the window, the icon for resizing does not show up. Let's go to frames and notice we can resize the window. Most applications I come across have an iframe tag because they are designed for interactive applications. Iframes is a better option for adding other websites within a window. One reason an iframe is better is because developers can keep track of less HTML documents while using iframes. With automation, whether we come across an iframe or frame, we must always switch before performing an action. Here's an example. The frame is the blue login to application box. We must switch to the frame before entering data in the username and password fields. Also, before clicking the Submit button. Most of the times, it's difficult to notice a frame by looking at the web page. An exception shows up if we do not switch to the frame. The next element that requires switching is alerts. Alerts are better known as pop-up boxes. It's a box that contains a message. In this example, the alert has two buttons, an OK and cancel button. We also see a title that states pop-up alert box with some pretend data between the title and two buttons. There are three types of alerts with the purpose to, number one, send information, number two, get confirmation, and number three, receive inputs from a user. We are forced to switch and interact with the alert when it pops up. We are not able to interact with the web page. That's why the web page is gray and disabled. The last element required for switching is windows. It can be a new window or tab. This example shows a new window on top of the web page. We see a title that states, switch to this new window, then perform an action. All windows have an ID called a window handle. A window handle is unique and alphanumeric that allows us to switch to the window. We can perform any action after switching to the window. There are different Selenium methods used for switching. Here's the methods used for switching to a frame. Frame web element. Selects a frame by web element. Web element is the data type, and element is the frame element we will switch to. Frame string name or ID. Selects a frame by its name or ID. String is the data type. Name and ID are the HTML attributes. We can switch by the name of the frame or ID of the frame. Frame int index selects a frame by its index. Int is the integer data type. All indexes start at 0. Default content. Select the first frame on the page or the main document if the page contains an iframe. Parent frame is important if the focus has changed from the parent context. By default, Selenium has focus set on the parent. Next is the methods for alert. Imagine a pop-up that has two buttons like one of our previous slides. The accept method accepts the alert by clicking the OK button, and the dismiss method clicks the cancel button. If you want to get information from the pop-up, use the get text method, while the send keys method types data into the pop-up box. Last, we have three methods for switching to a window. The alphanumeric window handle is assigned to each window. The get window handle method gets the window handle of the current window, and get window handles gets the window handle of all the current windows. The switch to window method switches focus between the windows. Now, let's dive into our demo of Selenium switch methods. Hello and welcome to Selenium for Beginners. In this video, I will cover how to switch to a frame. First is frame using web element. Let's walk through our application under test. First, we load the application. Then click the login sign up hyperlink. Next, we click the link at the bottom. Log in, sign up with mobile number and password. Finally, we enter our number or email. This test script will fail and throw an exception if we do not switch to a frame. But which step requires a switch? We're going to switch after clicking the login sign up hyperlink. Let's go to Eclipse and create our automation test script. We set up our test with system.setProperty on Chrome using driver equals new Chrome driver. Then maximize the window, driver.manage, .window.maximize. The test method is switch to frames. Now load the AUT driver.get. Add a dynamic wait statement. This here is an explicit wait statement for 5 seconds. Why add a wait statement? We are going to wait until 24/7 help shows up. I am going to reload the page and you will see how we wait until 24/7 help and these other elements show up. Finish the wait statement. You can watch video number 22 to see the benefits of an explicit wait. Now we click the login sign up hyperlink, driver.find element by Xpath .click. The Xpath value will contain text for login sign up. Then we wait for this dialog to load. We are going to wait for the bottom hyperlink because that's the link we will click. This is a customized Xpath value for login sign up. I will create a video explaining how to create a customized Xpath value. We add the wait statement, then click the link at the bottom. Last, we enter the phone number or email, driver.find element by ID. Send keys. Get the value for ID. Inspect the element. We see the value for ID is input_0. Send 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Let's run. Nothing happens after clicking the login sign up hyperlink. Our test failed. Let's go back to our AUT and see why it failed. Right click and we see view frame source. That means this dialog is a frame or an iframe. It is like the example from our introduction when looking at frames in W3 schools. Notice the difference. When I right click outside the iframe, we do not see view frame source. That lets us know we must switch before performing a command. Go back to Eclipse and switch to frame. Driver dot switch to. The description states sends future commands to a different frame or window. In this IntelliSense, we see different methods for switching to a frame or window. We are going to switch to a frame. Here's the frame methods we reviewed in our introduction. Frame index selects a frame by its 0 base index. Frame string selects a frame by its name or ID. Frame web element selects a frame using its element. Select frame. Now let's inspect an element within the iframe dialog. We are going to inspect the bottom link. The blue highlighted part is the link, but let's scroll up to the iframe tag. This iframe tag has an src attribute that contains login. Control F to find the value. Let's write our customized Xpath value. 2 forward slashes, iframe, opening and closing bracket, contains contains, opening and closing parenthesis, @ src, which is the attribute name, comma, 2 single quotes, login, login, is written inside the single quotes. The yellow highlight indicates we have located the iframe. Copy the value. Now let's switch to the iframe. Driver dot find element. By Xpath. Then paste the value. Let's run. We see phone number 123-456-7890. Switch to frames, passed. Another way of writing the same test script is to declare a web element. I am going to copy and paste this code. Write web element. Name the object reference login. Next, we find the iframe and assign it to login. Since we already found iframe, the last step is to switch to the iframe, but this time we will use the object reference login. Driver dot switch to frame web element login. This is just another way of writing the same statement for frame web elements. The previous way used one line to find and switch to an iframe. This way uses 2 lines to find iframe, then switch to iframe. Let's change the phone number to an email. So when it runs, we see a different value, abc@email.com. Both methods, switch to frames and switch to frames underscore web element passed using frame web element. That's how we switch to a frame using web elements. Thank you. And next, I will show you how to switch to a frame using frame string. The transcript, presentation, and the code will be available at tinyurl.com switch-methods and GitHub at Rex Jones II Selenium for Beginners. Hello and welcome to Selenium for Beginners. In this video, I will cover how to switch to a frame. Next is frame using string, which selects a frame by its name or ID. Let's walk through the application under test AUT. First, we are going to load chase, then add a wait statement for this welcome box. Finally, we enter a user name. Go to Eclipse. The method name is switch to frames underscore string. Let's load the application. Driver.get https://www.chase.com. Next, we find the username element, driver.findElement by ID. Send keys at test 3400. Inspect the element. Copy the value for ID. Paste the value. Add a wait statement before entering the username. A dynamic explicit wait for 5 seconds. Next, wait until user ID input field is visible. Then run. There is no information in the username text field. There is no information because the welcome sign in box has view frame source. View frame source indicates this box is a frame or iframe. Let's inspect. Scroll up to iframe tag. In addition to the src attribute, notice the iframe has an ID and a name attribute with a value of logon box. The previous switch example used a value within src, but we are going to use logon box for name and ID. Let's go back to Eclipse and perform our switch. As expected, we see a failure. This time, let's use string for switching. Driver.switch2.frame string. The description shows select a frame by its name or ID. Frames located by matching name attributes are always given precedence over those matched by ID. This means we can use the name attribute or ID attribute, but name ranks higher than ID. However, the iframe we are switching to has the same name and ID. Therefore, it does not apply for this scenario. Add logon box within double quotes. Then run. This time, username has information. And switch to frames underscore string pass. That's it. And thank you for watching Switch to a Frame using string. Next is switch to frame using index. The transcript, presentation, and the code will be available on GitHub at Rex Jones II, Selenium for Beginners, and tinyurl.com switch-methods. Hello and welcome to Selenium for Beginners. In this video, I will cover how to switch to a frame. Next is frame using index, which selects a frame by an index. Let's walk through the application under test. HTML source inline frames. Scroll down to the interactions section, and we see two boxes, click me and tick tick. If we click the box named click me, then the box named tick tick changes to boom. These boxes will be used for our test. Inspect both boxes, and we see iframe. We need the index for click me. Control F, 2 forward slashes, iframe. And there are 12 frames. Search. The click me iframe is 3 of 12. Therefore, the index is 2 because indexes start at 0. Go to Eclipse. The method is switch to frames underscore index. Let's load the page. Driver.get. Next, we are going to scroll down the page using a JavaScript executor. Import the JavaScript executor class. 0 and 1250 are coordinates. The first number, 0, is an x-axis, which scrolls horizontally left or right. A negative number scrolls to the left, while a positive number scrolls to the right. In our scenario, I modified the y-axis from 0 to 1250 to scroll down the page. A negative number scrolls up the page. Now we switch to the frame by writing driver.switch2.frame. The description for index states, select a frame by its 0-based index. Our index is 2 because we need the third option, 3 of 12. The last step is to click the hyperlink name click me. Before executing this test method, let's see the exception by commenting out the switch method, then run. Fail. No such element exception. Unable to locate element. Which element? The click me hyperlink. Let's uncomment the switch statement and run again. We see boom, replace tick tick, and the test method passed. we covered 3 ways for switching to a frame. The most reliable way is to use frame web element. Next is frame name or ID. We can use frame index, but it's the least reliable way for switching to a frame. Personally, I do not recommend the index because the application can change and add more frames or iframes. As a result, your index can change and your test script fail. That's it, and thank you for watching how to switch to a frame. The transcript, presentation, and code will be available on GitHub at Rex Jones II, Selenium for Beginners, and tinyurl.com/switch-method.